a trumpet, says the Lord. Be a praying president, not a religious one, for I will fool the people, says the Lord. God says, I will put at your helm for 2 terms a president that will pray, but he will not be a praying president when he starts. I will put him in office, and then I will baptize him with the Holy Spirit and my power, says the Lord. The Spirit of the Lord says there shall be one assassination attempt that shall endeavor to destroy the plans that I have for this nation. Look to your vice president. But California, I'm looking at you. Goldstone, California. God says, once you recognize the man that I have raised up, pray, for the enemy will do everything in his power to put a witch in the White House. Hear me. I have found a man after my own heart, and he is amongst you. He is one of the brothers but singled out for presidency of the United States of America. Strange July, hypnotic November, and oh Christmas, where winter shall say, and me, I will make them happy. My will shall be done. And in the fall will show you whom I have chosen to pray for and guide this nation. You shall rejoice, for it is my man. It is my chosen David, says the Lord, the Lord, the Lord, the Lord, the Lord, the Lord.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Code Breakers Live. My name is Danae Clement Petrushka. I'm the oldest daughter and child of the late Kim Clement. For anyone who doesn't know, I should probably do that more often on these broadcasts for people who are just tuning in and don't know who I am or my dad or what's going on. I was thinking about that. So I'll make sure to introduce myself from now on. I'll try to remember. So I see many, many people here from all over the world, and it's just such a blessing to see you. New York, Ohio, Tallahassee, Florida, beautiful. Florida Beach Mom. There was a post, you had a post. Somebody did something to you, Florida Beach Mom. I saw it on X yesterday. Yes, I am Kim's baby girl, and I was his first child. They told me that my dad used to just sit and watch me when I was a little kid. He named me before I was born. I'm watching Florida Beach Mom to see what she says. Denver, Iowa, Brooklyn, Colorado, Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Minnesota, Australia. Lou, I think I want a map. Is there any way I can get a map? I'm going to look at a map today. I forgot to tell you. Hawaii, Toronto, more Canada. Listen, I wanted to talk a little bit today about Sean Feucht, the world. Couldn't we just pull up Google Maps and mirror it? Let's do that. I've been watching this YouTube channel called The Enforcer, and I love it because all it is the map, and it's showing you where like the planes are, like live. In the world. And so then they'll go through the news and they'll tell you, okay, this is what's happening in Ukraine. This is what's happening in Cambodia and Thailand, which is something I've been watching this week. We decree Oregon is free. I agree. That all rhymed. But, oh, thank you. Someone said they loved my hair. I don't. I had to just let it go today and not braid it. I'm sure you've noticed, those of you who watch regularly, my hair has been braided almost every day of the summer, and that's because it is very difficult to manage this hair in the humidity in the summer here in Tennessee. Florida, I couldn't live there. Nova Scotia, this is why I want to see the map. Nova Scotia. That's a cool place. I've never been there, but I want to. Michigan. Hello, Michigan. Anoka, Minnesota. Appalachian girl. Appalachian. Tomato. Yes. So, okay. Someone's commenting in Rumble about Sean Foyt. So Sean Foyt has a tour. For those of you who don't know who he is, he's a worship leader, and he does concerts all over the world, and has done some incredible things for the kingdom. My dad had him play with him before. I met him on the Reawaken America tour, which he was also on. So my husband and I and all of us, we saw him frequently because he was on the tour with us. And he's just a great, great guy, just doing, incredible things for the kingdom. And goes to Canada, has a tour, and then all of a sudden, I guess not all of a sudden, but all the locations that he had booked, the venues, canceled on him. The government got involved. Then he went and he found other venues. And this is something that Clay Clark dealt with the whole Reawaken America tour here in America, is that when people would find out who he was and what we were doing, they would cancel the bookings. And so this happened to Sean Foyt in Canada. And so he got a hold of some churches and found new venues for the concerts. And Antifa showed up to protest, and someone came running down the aisle and threw a smoke bomb at him on the platform. So they are absolutely, completely, and utterly intolerant of Christians in Canada. That's how it looks. So I see my Canada people here. Let me know in the chat, anyone from Canada. Is that your experience? What is your experience? Saw my dad in Tampa, Florida. Heard the Paula White. Yes. My dad prophesied over Paula White in 1989 for the first time. And she was the one who was trying to get my dad to Donald Trump in 2015. So she was trying to arrange for my dad to meet Donald Trump and share what God had shared with him. And that meeting never happened because it was scheduled, I believe, for September of 2015. And at the beginning of September, my dad had a stroke and he was unable to go and meet with Donald Trump. Which is, it always makes me sad. I wish at least one time my dad could have met him, but that was not God's will. Northern Ireland, you guys are having a hard time right now too, aren't you? I keep seeing stuff about Ireland. When I was, let me finish the story because I started telling it and I didn't finish. When I was, before I was born, my dad named me Donna. Donna is French, and Lou's telling me something in the comments. My name is French. It means give or given. In French, Donna, Donne, it's just a French word, and that's what he decided to name me. And my mother was pregnant with me, and he came in and he had a little pink dress. And I was born in 1979, so you couldn't find out the gender of your child prior to at the time. I'm just reading your comments here to make sure I'm not missing anything on Canada, because I did ask you. And anyway, he came in with the pink dress and he said, it's a girl and her name's going to be Donna. And that was decided months before I was even born. And so, yes, give. It means give. I'm seeing West Virginia Mountain Mama. We're praying for your mom, I believe. Renee, my daughter's name is Danae. Oh, that's interesting. Bring on the oil. New Zealand. Arkansas, super hot. I bet it is. I've got to go to Arkansas next month. I think it's 15th, 16th, 17th. I am going to be speaking at the George Magazine live event. I did it last year and I've been invited back this year. And so I just, I'm going to show you guys something from an airplane I just saw this morning. If those of you who haven't seen it, you will. I'm not too keen on getting in a plane, so I'll probably be driving there. I'm in Tennessee, so I'll drive to Arkansas. We did that last year. We drove. And so enjoyed it so much. Thank you, Dale B. $20 super chat in YouTube. Thank you so much. I know Paula White, and whatever link or video, you know what? How about we are more supportive of our Christian leaders as opposed to slandering them? I'm really so tired of hearing it. You're going to have people make mistakes. You know what I never hear? Never hear the Muslims slandering their imam. They're not flying helicopters over the imam's house. They're solid. They're supporting one another, and they're doing very well. From what I saw in Canada, let me show you. Look, mirror my X page, Lou. From what I saw in Canada, here it is right here. Here you go. This is a common theme. Okay? So whenever you hear a little rumor about someone and you're jumping to spread it, a Christian leader, and you're jumping to just spread it around, how about you pray about it first? Wait 48 hours at least. Make sure that you know what you're talking about before you just start throwing slander out. Paula White is a very good person. She is running the faith office in the West Wing of the White House, first time in history that's happened, making sure that you continue to have the freedom that you have to slander her. That's part of it. So really, she's taken on a huge task, and she is, I don't know, would you rather someone like Clapper or Brennan be around making decisions, or do you want a Christian in there? Because I've known her for many years. My dad did too. And he prophesied. Some of the prophecies that we've shared with you are from her church, Without Walls, in Tampa, Florida. You're never going to find a leader who's perfect. This praying to Mother Moon, I don't know what that nonsense is about. But no, you put the X page back up. But here, let's have a look at what's happening. This is, you'll see why I'm not telling you to look away when our leaders are sinful. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is that many, many Christians today love slandering other Christian leaders. That's all they do. There are whole YouTube channels who make money, a lot of money, off of doing that. And the result is a weakened body in church, because the Bible gives us very clear instruction on how to deal with these things. And again, there are people who make mistakes, people who do things wrong and deal with it when it happens. But it's like to be overjoyed at throwing stones that way and it consuming your time, you are not helping. You're not helping. You should be praying that, you know what, do you have faith that God is going to deal with those things or not? Because if you feel that you need to take it into your hands to spend all of your time slandering the people that God has put into position, and in the case of Paula White, to protect you, because that's what she's doing. And I've been there. I've been to the White House. I've been there with Paula White. I've seen what they're doing myself. And the White House Faith Office now has every single department of government. We now, as Christians, have a representative in there to speak for us and to defend us. And that is thanks to President Trump. So if you look here at this post, I'm sorry if I seem a little irritated. I am irritated because I can see the damage it's doing. It anyway, look at this. On the right, you see this guy on the right? He's a Muslim, a frequent speaker in Montreal, known for saying things like kill the Zionist aggressors, praising Islamic terrorists as the good guys. And Montreal, no problem. On the left, Sean Feucht, Christian singer, sings about love and peace. And he was attacked. He was not allowed to speak. It is so demonic what's going on that a man could not control himself and went running down the aisle of a church where they were just worshiping and minding their own business, not hurting anybody, not out in the streets bullying anybody, not burning anything down, not causing any fights, in a church, worshiping Christ, Jesus, was attacked. And the government was fine, and the police who were there did nothing. Now, this should really alarm everybody. Thank you, Larry, for the $10 super chat. I'm reading you, West Virginia Mountain Mama. Larry says, Jesus Christ is real. For my pencil drawing version of Christ, I am no artist. I heard my name, Larry, a soft male voice, as a young child. Amen. Thank you, Larry. Yeah, we are to correct one another, but what I'm seeing is not a simple correction. It becomes like a mob, and then nobody actually cares what the truth is, and the spreading of slander is disgraceful, and it's harmful. The reason that President Trump chose Paula White is because she led him to Christ in 2004. And she has been his pastor long before he was ever president or any of that was going on. And he trusts her. And you get a bunch of people, pastors, leaders, church leaders, Christian leaders, also slandering her. Number one, for being a woman in that position. Or why should she? Well, because she did what God told her to a long time ago when nobody cared about Donald Trump. It's easy now. Easy now to say, I want to help Donald Trump. Now that he's won that second term. Like, I had to deal with that when I went on the Reawaken America tour and really had to have faith. And not faith in my dad, but what I'd seen God doing with the prophetic through my dad, in that I knew Donald Trump was going to get that second term. And it didn't matter that it was not consecutive, which is like, this only happened a handful of times, if that, in the history of America. And so it was pretty miraculous. And it was amazing that my dad saw the 2 terms more than once. And I went on that Reawaken America tour after the 2020 election under President Biden being censored. We almost lost this YouTube channel. We had to, like some of you will remember if you've been watching for a long time, we had to not put whole broadcasts on YouTube, just put a little bit and then say, okay, go over to the website to watch, because we were being censored and threatened so much. That's when I found my way to Rumble, which was very inviting. And that's why I don't use Facebook or Instagram, because, and the crazy thing is, all I'm doing is sharing what my dad prophesied. And because my dad was prophesying accurately, then we were censored. Or with YouTube, it was because I quoted election statistics from Michigan that were outrageous and true, but it didn't matter that it was true. They didn't like it. So we almost lost the channel there. We all kinds of stuff happened. I can't remember everything. So you want to make sure that, okay, so if you're in a situation, what is the deal with Ghislaine? Yeah, I know that was I should get there. I went on X this morning looking for Ghislaine, and just make sure I'm in. Oh, wait, no, I've got to go back. Because of what I was seeing online and what I'd been watching and all the information, and oh my gosh, it was impossible to find anything. I don't know what's happening to X. And what made me think of that right now is that the only platform that I was able to actually use without fear of being losing my account or dealing with some kind of backlash was X. And so that's why I came to X. But I'm just finding it's different now. It's changed. I can't really put my finger on it. And I couldn't find anything of substance on Ghislaine because everybody just wants to keep shouting Trump, 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 and Epstein. Okay, the story with Trump and Epstein is very simple. Trump knew Epstein. By 2005, he'd figured out his business. He never went to the island, by the way. They did use his plane or something, him and Melania, but you can see in the flight records, he never went to. It was before Epstein even had the island, so that's how we know. 2005-ish, Epstein was at Mar-a-Lago, and there was an incident with a girl there, and Trump banned him for life and was the only person who cooperated the following year when Epstein had his first case. The only person who cooperated was Donald Trump. And so knowing this, then I'm looking around and everybody, all the Trump haters are just out there just on the Epstein thing. And look, there's something going on that we don't know about to do with this. And I do not think it has anything to do with Trump being guilty. You can think that if you want. You'll see what happens in time. I had to deal with this again when I had the 2 terms prophecy. I had to just say to people, look, you'll see. Although my dad didn't prophesy anything about Epstein or anything, he did prophesy about intelligence agencies being exposed. And there's been a lot of rumors about Epstein being an intelligence asset. And that is what came out in that first case against him, that he belonged to intelligence. And so everyone's like, Mossad, the Jews, they run everything. Everything's the Jews' fault. It's not. If he's working with intelligence agencies, I think they work with one another in some of these things. But what I do know is that whatever it is going to be exposed, because that is what my dad prophesied. And the intelligence agencies of this world, particularly on March 20th, 2014, he really covered that. The you don't know, you're not supposed to know. That's when he said that. Nellie, thank you for your $10 super chat on YouTube. You are so right, Donna. God picks the vessels to use. I always tell people to pray and repent and love thy neighbor. Stop being closed-minded. Love you all. But some of you need to reflect and repent. And look, me too. I've gotten caught up in those things. It's very easy to get caught up because if something's juicy gossip, it's kind of irresistible. But we have to control ourselves. That's really what this is about. This is my beef with how they treat women in Islam, is that they blame the women for everything. The women have to cover themselves up, and the women have to be quiet, and the women have to and then what happens is the men don't have to control themselves at all. So when they come into a Western country and have to deal with women dressing normally, and they don't even have to be dressing in a revealing way, they're just dressing normal, they're justified in raping them because why do we have to control ourselves? But that's what the whole thing about sin is about. It's about you controlling. Ultimately, it's about you. I control myself. I have control over the flesh. I control it. I'm not just, and look, none of us are perfect at that. Thank you, Carly, for your super chat. And the little hippo, how cute. Lou has approached.
Yes. Well, just to jump on what you were saying there, it's an addiction. And you need to get rid of everybody that likes the juicy news. It's an addiction because it fills something inside you. It's like, because people are watching things that are made by AI and they're like, it's real. Instead of reading the descriptions, reading the thing saying this was made for entertainment purposes only.
Or at Grok, my hair is just,
or at Grok, is this real? And then it gives you a few little things. The thing is, it's just stay away from it, cleanse yourself from it. But with the Ghislaine Maxwell thing, we do know.
Ghislaine. Okay, nobody knows how to say this woman's name. You know how many interviews I've seen? And you can ask Lou. I'm shouting at the TV. Her name is Ghislaine.
I know, even
not Ghislaine.
Even finding her spelling when I did the spelling, I was trying to say
it's French.
It's
a French name.
So, she has been interviewed, as we know, and she's given 100 names. And so they haven't come up with the names yet, but they are going to be doing another interview. I think they got 2 or 3 more.
Well, they did 2 days in a row.
Yeah. And I think there's one more that they're looking at, and then in this week or the next week, I think there's going to be
Why
some
am I so
exposure.
sad about Ghislaine? I am so sad. Whenever I see her, I get this. I can't deny it. It's like I try to push it away because I feel like, gosh, this woman did terrible things. And I don't even, it's very unsavory. I don't want to even really think about her. But there she is. Every time I see her, this heart-wrenching pain I get. I don't know what it is. So we pray for Ghislaine.
Well, you know,
I don't think she should be free.
Well, the thing is, what everybody, here's a little thing, is last week, you and Charlie did analysis.
Yes.
And you covered about...
It was a good one, you guys.
You covered about exposures.
Yes.
And so that ties into what is being talked about today, and the whole Ghislaine Maxwell thing, and Jeffrey Epstein, and the government, and those who were involved in Russiagate, and all that thing.
All exposed, yes.
All the exposure came out where Kim prophesied about exposures. And so
Strange July.
It's, yeah.
But last year was Strange July.
No, but the thing
I don't want to rehash a prophecy
here's
we've already...
what a lot of people are saying, because he said it twice or 4 times. And so I think the exposures that we saw last year, because the weather this year kind of matches what your dad was saying.
And what about the volcanoes? The volcanoes are much more in the news this year.
He was talking about summer and then winter. And he says, well, why are you doing this? Summer, why are you taking this? Because I bring joy, I bring happiness, but summer's taking the storms. Remember that's what he was saying?
Where is it? Do we have it?
I think I might have it. The season's prophecy.
Yeah.
I think.
We can't go again.
No, it's the long version. But what I'm trying to say is, go back and watch.
You know what? It's not that I feel sorry for her. That's not what I'm feeling. I don't feel sorry for her. She made the choices she made. $10 from J-Dog. Thank you so much. Prophetic Rewind to Codebreakers. Thank you, Donna, for keeping your father's prophetic legacy alive. Thank you. I don't feel sorry for her. It's not that. I think there's something we don't know. That's what I keep feeling, like there's something we don't know. And I think of her dad, and it's so painful. I almost can't breathe from it.
You know what? She's been in jail or prison a long time. And you know, like you always say, prison can change a person. And so, you know, we've got to, not about changing the person, what they did, but we got to start praying for people to find God, to accept Jesus
for the worst,
lives, no matter how bad
people.
They were, for the worst of the worst, because Jesus still loves them. He's saddened by what they do, but it doesn't change the love he has for them.
You know what happens to us is we see it. It's so gross.
Yeah.
And it's so...
But that's why God's forgiveness is unfathomable.
It's like, how could you do that? I watched something this morning that was so disturbing. I had to turn it off. My husband and I had to turn it off. A lady that had killed her niece and nephew, and they were interviewing her. They found the bodies in the car, and they were interviewing her. And it's just like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that person. I don't want to hear anymore. It's too painful. But so I don't know what this feeling is that I'm getting. I don't understand it. And again, I'm not. I don't think she should be free.
No.
I don't think that's what they're going to do.
No.
But she has. There you go. She still has a chance for heaven.
She does. And here's the thing, is that we as human beings cannot fathom the love of God.
Here's someone saying, Deborah says, a father-daughter relationship gone bad. Donna, you had a great father-daughter relationship. That's a really good point. I had a very good father-daughter relationship with my dad. He was a really good dad. He was always there for us. $5 in your face offering his story. It's gone. $10 from Elise. Gosh, you guys, thank you so much.
Well, I'll let you get back to it. I just wanted to throw that little 2 cents
hang around.
Because you know what the thing is, what people forget is the true love of God, and that we cannot fathom the love of God. And so even though God is saddened by what has happened and what goes on, he sees beyond that. He sees
Ghislaine was used by her father and Epstein. That's the feeling. That's the feeling.
That's what I was actually going to say. When you were saying that you had a strange feeling, I was in my mind, it popped in there saying, was she used, controlled?
Epstein's niece. I don't know if you saw her, but I saw her interview. I got a weird feeling from that. B. Childs on Rumble has just pointed that out.
And please note, this doesn't take away the actions that were done.
I am grieving for the girls who trusted her and were deceived by her, but that's a different feeling.
Yeah.
There's something else. It's very strong. And again, it's just not because when I think of what she did, I don't want to see you. I don't care. Just go to hell. But I don't. That's not.
Mm-mm.
So I think what I'm trying to get at here is how are we dealing with this information as it's coming in? Because a lot of it is shocking. So we've seen, we covered this last week with Obama. We've all been watching. Look, Russiagate, we've been watching that from day one. I started watching Dan Bongino in 2017 in my garage in Moore Park, California, when I lived there. And actually, I have his post. Where did I put it? I think it's lower down. Yeah, it's lower down. Let me go down. I have a lot of animal videos to share with you guys. He's going to mirror again. You're going to see. Like, look at this one. I heard a noise in the middle of the night. And when I went to check, I saw my dog chilling in the pool with a bear. Oh, my gosh. That is just so cute. I love bears. I think they're just adorable. I know they will eat me, so I can't play with them. This is another thing. Okay, this is what I was referring to a little while ago when I said every time I go to X, it's something else. What is this? What is this? Third place. Dressage is something you do with actual horses. And I've heard of this before. Do you see this? How is this a thing? Hobby horsing. So you're not even on a real horse. You're on a pretend horse. This is insane, you guys. This is not normal. Why doesn't she just get on a horse? What's the problem? Ghislaine likely was abused, and Jesus will forgive her if she repents. So how do we deal with those things then? And I think that's what I'm asking. Why are you laughing back there? I can hear you guys laughing in the other room. Is it this woman on the hobby horse? Get on a horse. Get on a horse. It's not. I can ride a horse. I'm sorry, but I'm going to show you more. I every time. Okay, this past week I've been doing like spring cleaning in the summer at my house, and I actually hired a maid to help me, which I haven't done in years and years. Because in California we had someone we used, and she was awesome, Yoli, and she didn't charge very much. But when we moved to Tennessee, I tried to find someone to help me once in a while, a maid service. It was just too expensive. $20 from Kodiak, 1809. Thank you. Stand firm in the word, faith, and trust. The Ministry of Funny Walks, summertime. Now, you wouldn't know what that was unless you watched Monty Python. I actually almost wore a Basil Fawlty t-shirt today, but it's too hot, so I put on a dress. But I like it. Anybody watching from Canada, New Zealand, Australia, England, South Africa, you're going to know what I'm talking about more than most. Anyway, every time I get on X, it's something crazy. So this is what's happening here? What have I done? No, I'm not in the right place, Lou. What have I done? Go back to I've done something wrong. These are comments somewhere. I'm lost, Lou. Help me. Lou's coming. He's running. There I am. No. I don't know what I did. What happened? Oh, there we go. Here's the guy on the plane. This is what I was talking about. They had to bring down a flight from London to Glasgow this morning because this guy was screaming Allah Akbar, saying he had a bomb. Death to America. That was in another post I saw. And Trump. So I'm just, if they're not falling out of the sky, this stuff's happening. So I'm staying out of off the planes. Here is this guy. Not a fan. I've never, ever been a fan. of King Charles. But he's quoting the Quran and is so grateful for the Muslims' enormous contribution to the British society and culture. That's what I'm saying, is everything's crazy. Truth Social, I know. But the thing is, I have to... Florida Beach Mom, what? Let me see here. Florida Beach Mom. Cleaning. Let me finish that thought. I'm all over the place today. I'm sorry. It's too hot. I started using this. Lou, you can make me big again. I started using this thing called Home Aglow. My sister and I saw an ad for it. Home Aglow. How it sounds. One word. And they charge $20, $19 for 3 hours of cleaning. And we were like, there's no way. It has a membership thing, but it's really easy. And so I paid $172, and they sent somebody for 8 straight hours to help me. And what I've been doing is something I haven't done probably since we moved to Tennessee. I've never really finished moving out properly. And I went through every single closet. My kids are going back to school next week, and so I wanted to make sure everything was nice for them. Went through every single closet, emptied everything out, threw away everything we don't want or don't use, donated the stuff or threw it away. And my closet, I had not gone through it. I've got boxes of things of my dad's, of my grandmother. The Seasons Prophecy, Eric Souders. And so it was really reasonable. Normally I can't afford the maid stuff, but I really had to do something. And that Home Aglow was great. And so all week long, that is what I've been doing. So I haven't been on X as much as I normally would have been, but every time I opened it up, there was something else. Okay, you can put my X back up, Lou. That would be my weekend plans. Avoid people, stay home with your dog. If required to leave, bring dog. That's me. And the cats are there too. I'll come back to that. Look at this one. A man said he couldn't breathe while sleeping, so he installed a camera to see why. Look at the cat on his face. That's cute. And there's another one. I because I couldn't stand the craziness I was seeing all over X. Here's a tiger and a lion together, which you wouldn't normally see. And it says tigers are solitary animals and love huge personal space, while lions are clingy and social animals. And so look at what happens when the two are together. This tiger is not tolerating. I mean, he's doing very well. Actually, he's tolerating it. They're friends, but he doesn't want to cuddle. He don't want to do this. And if you ever watch lions love to cuddle. They want to be with each other. They rub their, just like a regular cat, they'll rub their little heads. And a tiger isn't as much like that. I found that so cute. I'm looking for the one post, though. There's one post here I wanted to show you guys. We've passed this, okay. This is funny, too, the cat with the thing on its head. This, and I actually said every time I open this app, it gets crazier. I mean, good for them. They figured out something, but you just never know what you're going to see. Baby liger. You know what? It is a really bad idea to mix a lion and a tiger, because you do have that in their personality. You have a solitary animal in the tiger who loves water, who can't be in the sun, has to be in a shaded area, and then it doesn't travel in a group. And then you have a lion who's very social, travels in a group, isn't too fond of swimming in water, and lives out in the sun. Hunts differently, everything. So when you mix the lion and the tiger together, there's a big chance that the baby that comes from that union will be crazy. Will not actually know how to feel. You'll have really serious issues with that animal, and it's just not a good idea to breed them. Don't think it's a good idea. Here it is. I don't know if you guys saw Dan Bongino's post this week, but he said, "I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. We cannot run a republic like this. And, you know, like I said before, I've watched Dan Bongino since 2017, and I do trust him. And it must be so difficult for him right now, being now the deputy director of the FBI. He is in a very different situation than what we've come to know him being in. So he was free to talk about whatever he wanted. He had his own podcast with millions of followers, very successful, and was doing it with his wife. She was there with him doing the podcast. They were together all the time. Everything changed for him, where he becomes deputy director of the FBI. So he's not earning the money he was earning. He no longer has his podcast. He no longer has that voice. He's not seeing his wife. I saw him in an interview complaining that he misses her. He's not seeing his wife enough. And we've had all this Epstein stuff and all these things coming out, and he can't talk to us like he used to. So now he's stuck in this situation where he has to do this job, which is really important. And look, if we're going to choose somebody, I'd rather it be him than anyone else. And so he did kind of say some things this week to sort of let everybody know. Here's the actual post. And the highlighted part is what I'll read. But what I have learned in the course of our properly predicted and necessary investigations into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to my core. We cannot run a republic like this. I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. And think about how much he used to talk about on his show. Like, what could he have learned? This is what my sister and I were saying. What could he have learned? What is it? Just reading your comments. She has to forgive to be forgiven. Yes. Bald Eagle, Monty Python. If you get the humor, then you'll enjoy it. But if you don't get the humor, you won't get it. But some people get it. And me and my dad, we loved Monty Python and Fawlty Towers, which was, I felt better. I thought that was the best thing John Cleese ever did. I'm so disappointed in John Cleese's political stance on things because these people, I think the people are scared of losing following and income. Have a look at this. This is a chart that the Democrats actually put up, and it shows how inflation went up under Biden. Oh my gosh. Grocery prices, sorry, not inflation. So that's funny. Okay, here's another one. I think we just found out why no one at the DOJ ever interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell. See, this is the thing that's interesting to me. Is during her first, and if you guys remember her trial when that happened, we were all watching so closely, like, what is going to happen? They didn't actually interview her. I think she wasn't really allowed to say much. They just wanted to charge her, and it wasn't a public trial. I think there was a good reason for that. So we just saw the sketches and heard reports. And I think that Trump's DOJ going in there and talking to her, that actually has not happened through all of the course of this. And regardless of what happens to Ghislaine, I think it would be very helpful if she could talk, if she could be heard. But I don't think she should be free. And, we'll see how things go, what the story is. There's me and Charlie from Wednesday's analysis. You guys should absolutely watch this. This was so powerful. Charlie and I got together and just started talking about what my dad had prophesied about Obama. And he was warning Obama. And the one of the prophecies that we looked at was him in Detroit, Michigan in 2010. And it was wow, because it was not just about Obama. My dad was prophesying about naming the particular countries right now. Which country? He said Iran, Syria. Those are the ones that he was warning about. Oh, looking in the House of Destiny chat there. Those of you who are interested in this, if for some reason you can't watch us, anything we do like this show or anything else we do on social media, you can always go to our website, to kimclement.com, also known as houseofdestiny.org, and you can watch there. Hulk Hogan. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to get to, you guys. But just before I go past this, if you have not watched analysis from this past Wednesday, go and watch it. Wherever you're watching now, just go. When this is over, go and look. You can go to analysischannel.tv. That's the easiest. But you can, and this is every Wednesday we do this. Normally it's me and Christy, but Charlie joined me this week. Charlie, if you don't know, was my toured and traveled with my dad for 25 years. I've known him since I was a little girl. And every time you see my dad prophesying, Charlie is playing the bass guitar behind him. And he was a huge support for my dad and a really good friend to him. And he does twice a month, Perspectives of the Prophetic. He does his show that's every other Thursday. So if you have not seen it, I encourage you to watch Charlie. He's so anointed and he has experience with the prophetic like few on this planet. And he was also there. So that's why I brought him in to talk about Obama, because he was there when my dad first prophesied that there would be an African American president. And this was like 1998. My dad prophesied that America would have their first African American president, and then later prophesied about how God would use him to teach America a lesson. And so Charlie was really good to have come in because, even though I'm my dad's child, I wasn't with him when he would travel all the time. Sometimes I would be there, sometimes not. And so Charlie was always there. So he remembers all sorts of things that were going on that you wouldn't see on the screen or, that was happening between them, or even that, was prophesied. He was there for all of it. So it was so good. Yes, I'm reading what Amber is saying in YouTube about Pam Bondi, and I think here's what I think. I think that we need to wait. It looks to me like there's a real struggle going on, and many would love for you to believe that it's because Trump is named somewhere as in something. But of course, Trump's name is within there. He knew Jeffrey Epstein had a falling out with him, kicked him out, and banned him from Mar-a-Lago, and then testified against him. And that is 100% true, and we know that. I really don't think that Trump was flying on the jet and procuring young women, underage women from Epstein. I do not think that's what's going on here. But I do think that there's a struggle going on between, not between Bondi. Well, I know there's an issue between Bondi and Bongino because we know he was yelling and shouting and didn't go to work that one day. So something is going on that we don't know about. And so the way I've dealt with all of this is not to form an opinion yet, because I don't think we have the information to do so. And because honestly, I really don't think that the issue is Trump. And the other side, and anybody who hates Trump, is going to try to paint it that way because it's to their benefit to do so. But honestly, really don't think that's what's going on.
There was a fake news that came out that they told Trump his name's in the list, and the Dems ran with it. And then Shifty Shift comes and he says, "There's information."
Shifty Shift, who's the biggest, fattest liar that I've ever known. Now that's someone some people should be investigating and looking into. He was the one. Remember in the impeachments, he lied and lied. He got other people to lie.
And on the Twitter,
if we're comparing apples and oranges,
I think it was on his Twitter account, and that he says, he's holding the phone up. He says, "There's so much more about Trump that's coming
there was
out.
Nothing.
Release the files, and there's nothing. It's a nothing burger. I've read many.
I have heard. I've heard something.
The FBI and from like other sources that have all come, and they said this was a fake thing that went out, and of course the news media grabbed it and they ran with it. It's exactly what the Russia hoax happened. the Russia hoax, as we've heard, is fake. It has been proven that all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, but what the news media did is they grabbed the fake news and they ran with it, because the more you tell something over and over, the more it becomes real. Remember, to tell a perfect lie, tell 80% of the truth.
Yes.
Because 20% of a lie is enough to cause problems.
Right. And I think
And
that's
to
what we're
make it,
seeing.
and
Yeah.
make it more realistic, you have to tell at least 80% of the truth and mix in 20% of a lie. And so this is what they're running with. And they're saying, look, guys, stop reading because you know what? You read the headlines. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit passionate about
No, you must.
But
I don't
the
mind
thing
at
is,
all.
it's about you. Everybody has a short memory span now because of TikTok and these
Yes.
click videos.
Nobody wants to read anything.
So all people do is they read the headline. Now that's the grabbing thing. The headline says this, and it's like, I must tweet this. Look, so and so said this. Instead of reading the article and seeing what it actually says, because they know you're not going to read the article. You just grab the.
You know
the
who's
headline.
taken full advantage of this?
Mm.
Putin.
Oh, yes.
Because the whole Russiagate thing, it's come out now that apparently they said at the time, and I think it was Brennan. What's his name? Not Bannon. I can never remember everybody's names. It's all running together.
There's too many.
Look, they said that Putin was trying to help Trump get elected, but that was the lie. Mm-hmm. The truth was it didn't make any difference. They just meddle in our elections. So he didn't care. Either way, they were going to use it to their own advantage. Mm-hmm. And that's what we've seen happen. And what has happened is war in Ukraine, and Putin is trying to take that territory as well as many others. And remember, Dad prophesied Estonia. This is in the same March 20th.
Now,
where is March 20th? Do we have it?
Well, here's the thing about Estonia. It popped up again because Estonia met with what's his name from Fox? That wasn't Fox News. He's a military guy. He met with at the Pentagon. Estonia was there with what's his name now?
Hegseth.
Hegseth.
Yes.
Set my brain.
Hegseth met with
Estonia.
Oh.
Because Trump made deals with them about he made deals with them about buying weapons. And so
because you remember my dad was shouting Estonia.
The troublemaker. You will be the troublemaker.
Yes. That's very interesting. In the Baltic region as well, he saw. And so, that brings me to what I have here on the page right now, which is Cambodian military is firing rockets at targets in Thailand. So I don't know if you guys have heard about what's happening between Cambodia and Thailand. I was confused. I was like, what are they going on about now? Why are they shooting at each other? And apparently it's also over territory. There were the border between Cambodia and Thailand was drawn in the early 1900s. I don't remember if it was the British. And there's an area, a territory on that border or nearby that is under dispute. Now, you have the same issue going on with India and Pakistan. And we saw there was almost nuclear war in April. My dad prophesied about that. I posted the videos. In April, Pakistan and India fighting over Kashmir. And then if you go over to Israel, we've got Gaza and the Palestinians and that whole thing. And it's also over territory and borders and lines drawn between this is this country and this is that country. But you also have that with Ukraine and Russia. So it's not quite the same with Ukraine and Russia, but you see that these territorial disputes keep happening and are really erupting. And I've just noticed that. So when I saw this between Cambodia and Thailand, I've just sort of been watching. They're calling it the 7-Eleven War because it started at a 7-Eleven. The territory dispute is over an ancient religious site. Is it? Oh, I hadn't heard that yet. Because I was, kind of looking around. It was actually a little bit difficult to find out why are they fighting each other. And apparently Cambodia is not nearly as well equipped as Thailand. So that's interesting. My mother went to Cambodia a She was helping some orphans there. And some of you may have actually funded the tuk-tuks. And we raised money to get tuk-tuks to get these kids to and from school so that they could at least get a meal every day and an education. The child trafficking and human trafficking at the border of Cambodia and Thailand is shocking. And this is something my mother found when she was there. And they went to help. There's some kind of disease that the children get there where it blinds them. And they couldn't recover the sight for the children, but they were able to get them a prosthetic eye for the children that this had happened to, because I don't know. I guess they're superstitious about the people who have this issue. Those that live in Cambodia are all very young. A Buddhist religious site. Huh. Okay. I had not heard that. I'm going to look into this more. So I just wanted to show you guys that and just touch on that a little bit. And just, this is something we also need to really pray about, because you're seeing these little eruptions going on all over the world. And I think it's really important that we watch it and pray about it, because you have a pattern now. You have a pattern of, and it's very dangerous, that keeps recurring. So you have Israel, Gaza, Cambodia, Thailand, Pakistan, India, Russia, Ukraine. And it seems like a similar thing. Stick horse competition. Yeah, I don't know why they don't just get on a horse. There's plenty of horses. Get on a horse and do dressage the way you're supposed to. Is that how you say it? I think that's how you say it. It's really cool when it's with a real horse, not a stick horse. I mean, I don't know. It makes me think of the lady that went to the Olympics for the break dancing. I don't know why that dressage thing with the stick makes me think of that, but it does. Estonia. You have Estonia. Let's play it. 2014. Let's play it.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. Lou's going to play. Well, let's look at Estonia again, because it's showing up in the news.
Estonia! Estonia! Full of light! The little one that shall rattle the big one. The little nation that will bring the stone to the head of Goliath. I prophesy life, light, victory, salvation. Your kingdom come. Your kingdom come. Your kingdom come. Your kingdom come.
Yes, that was, what date was that? Because there was the one from 2014 is the one I was talking about that had but I mean, that's good though, because we have a number of times he prophesied Estonia. 2014. Okay, so March 20th. So that was 9 days after March 20th. He was seeing Estonia again. Because if you remember March 20th of 2014, that prophecy where my dad's shouting, "You know nothing. You know nothing." And he was prophesying about the Malaysian jet. And he saw Russia. He saw Ukraine. He saw Estonia, the Baltic region. And he said the little ones that will rattle the big one. And they'll say, "You're the troublemaker." But they're the ones who will rattle Putin and bring to its knees Russia. So we have said of Ukraine, they're a troublemaker because you've got Zelensky. I'm not a fan over there. But at the same time, my dad went to Ukraine in 2014, just out of the blue. You what?
I have that one ready.
Oh, you have it. Okay, let's have a look at that. March 20th, 2014. Let's look at this. I mean, there it is.
Russia, Ukraine,
Poland, Germany, Estonia. You shall be the troublemaker. You shall rattle Putin, who claims himself as a Tsar, to bring back a system of control and pain and suppression. I laughed at you, but all the nations stand before me now without intelligence, without understanding. They know nothing.
Wow. There it is. So that was March 20th of 2014. And before that, God sent my dad to Ukraine. And when he was in Ukraine, he met with pastors of churches there, spirit-filled churches, just like us, just like the ones we go to, worshiping, prophesying, all the things that we do. And so we have to remember that you're dealing with an entire country full of people. And of course, you're going to have bad stuff. We have bad stuff. But God hears the cries of his people no matter where they are. If they're in Iran, if they're in China, if they're in Ukraine, if they're in Russia, if they're in Pakistan or India, Afghanistan. God's people are everywhere, and he hears their cries. And that's very important for us to remember. And I'm reading some of your comments about Ghislaine. You know what? The thing about Ghislaine is we do need to pray for her. Pray for Ghislaine, because Ghislaine may know things that we need to know. I do feel like there was abuse. It's very sad. If I think of it, it sits in my chest like a pain. The mental institutions, I saw that. I'm seeing in the comments here. Sorry, I'm reading the comments. I'm trying to keep up with your comments. Trump has now funded again the mental institutions. And I think that's a good thing. I know there was a lot of corruption in the mental institutions. Lou, will you share my X page again? I know there was a lot of corruption in mental institutions, but getting rid of them altogether was not the answer. They just needed to clean that up, because right now, a lot of your homeless issues, the homelessness, has to do with people who are mentally ill that really need help. And you can't just throw them out on the street and let them live on the street and just, that's not working. They tried it. It's not working. It's not helping them. It's not helping any of us. Our beautiful cities across this nation are just littered with suffering people. And we can't just say, oh, let them be free. No, because some of them are dangerous and they don't mean to be. They've got mental illness. They need to be helped. And at least in a facility, they have a clean bed. They can bathe and shower. They're fed. They're given medical help. It's better than this. It's better than this. And so I have to say, years ago, I went and I started, there was an old abandoned mental institution near where I lived, a very famous one in Newbury Park, California, when I lived there. And this is going back like late 2000s, maybe 2009, 8, 9. And I was, we would go and like check out the abandoned mental institution. And, I read some stories about that place, and it was bad what happened there. But it just seems to me like, you could clean that system up, do it differently, but don't just leave it. And just leaving it has been a bad thing. So I'm all for that, especially if Trump's overseeing it. I feel like it'll be handled better. But here is something an Afghan woman wrote to J.K. Rowling. I know with the Harry Potter stuff, it's all kind of weird, but she has been very vocal against the trans thing, and she's very well spoken, obviously, being an author and everything. So she's handled it pretty well. But this Afghan, the reason I'm reading to you this to you is nothing to do with J.K. Rowling, but an Afghan girl, and these are the things I'm hearing. So it's a good testimony. I'm writing to you as an Afghan girl whose only crime is being born a woman in a land where womanhood is punished. Now, you got to remember, in Afghanistan, America was there. Our military was there, and they were trying to facilitate a democracy. And so women were given freedom that they didn't have before, for a very long time anyway, because Afghanistan did not used to be a Muslim country. It was invaded the way they're invading Europe right now, and wish to invade the rest of the West, because the goal is that the world is Muslim, and that there's not a drop of Jewish blood left in it. So what happened in Afghanistan was, Biden's disastrous way he handled pulling out of Afghanistan, and we should have left there, but not that way. And the way that happened, and handing it going full circle and just going back to Al Qaeda. Since then, women who grew up, the way we do in the West, being allowed to be educated, being allowed to work, dressing normal, now have had to revert back to living under Sharia law, and it's worse now for them. They're almost being punished for having that time of freedom, and so now they don't even want women to speak anymore. I heard there's areas where if a woman is praying in her own house, that's illegal. So this Afghan girl writes to J.K. Rowling, and she says, "Here we are not allowed to speak loudly. Even our voices are considered threats. We are locked inside our homes, prisoners without crime. We have no right to educate, no right to work, no right to choose our futures. Many of us are forced into early marriages. Many suffer from depression. Some have died by suicide, not because they were weak, but because no one heard them. We are disappearing. I didn't know how much about you before I saw your picture, but we grew up with the Harry Potter stories and movies, and we knew that very well. Recently, I learned about you and that you were the author of those stories, and I saw your picture with the big blue hat, and you looked like a model and very beautiful. And more important, I learned that you stand with Afghan women during these dark times. Thank you for standing with us." And obviously, that's not a picture of the real person who wrote it. This is a reality that people in the West need to. You're not being discriminatory if you are defending yourself and your belief and God. And you are recognizing this system punishes women for existing and says to men, you don't have to control yourself at all. It's all the fault of the women. That is not good for the men, because they're never learning that self-control. They are in certain areas, like when to pray and all that, but that's all surface stuff. That's not dealing with the heart of a person. And so you find that migrants that are going into Europe that are Muslim, especially the more extremist ones, or coming from a country where it's just understood that, oh, well, if a woman dresses that way, it's fine for me to rape her. And nobody's saying, well, why do you want to do that? Like, what's wrong with you? And it really is not a good balanced system. If you just forget about everything else, it's not a good system to live under, where they treat women as property, as no different than an animal. That's not okay. And so really we need to pray for the women of Afghanistan, because they are suffering, especially if you consider not growing up that way, not living that way ever, and then suddenly you have to switch. And this is the thing that people in Europe right now and Canada need to realize, that if you keep allowing what you're allowing and persecuting Christians while you're fine with crazy Islamic extremists saying death to America, death to the West, death to Israel. If you're allowing that, there are going to be repercussions that will suddenly overnight. And here in America too, the communities being built in Texas and Arizona and places like that, where first they buy up a whole neighborhood and have they'll build a mosque, take over an old church that's been abandoned and left, build a mosque, and next thing you know, they're passing laws where it's okay with the call to prayer. That's fine. And everyone's like, well, that's okay. Religious freedom, that's fine. Eventually, they're going to take over the country. And then all of a sudden, women who for generations have lived free will no longer be so. And I know that a lot of people on the left who think that they're sticking up for them and this is fine, Sharia law is fine, I don't believe in any of that stuff, so it doesn't matter to me, I'll just convert to Islam. Yeah, but when you're living under Sharia law, you're not going to be happy. And then you're going to be like the Iranian people where you're in a prison and there's no escape because they are dictating the law based on their religion, which is extraordinarily corrupt. That's why, you need that separation of church and state to a degree. Although it was not good for
Well, you do
Christians.
know that mosques are the only ones that don't have a sound restriction
Yeah.
when they do call to prayer, but churches have to soundproof their walls,
And everybody's just okay with
so
this.
so that you can't hear the worship sound coming from the buildings and that, but they can do their call to prayer 3 or 4 times a day on these big microphones. I mean, come on. There's
all of these things that they're doing are actually
control.
tactics that they're using because the goal is to take over. The prophecy that Charlie and I looked at with my dad in Detroit from 2010 is where he said, and in the prophecy he prophesied, they want to change the name of America and they want to change the name of Israel. That's their goal, to take them over and make the Muslim countries change the names, and then the Imam will come and Jesus will be his lieutenant. And Jesus will judge all of us because we didn't believe the Muslims. And that's what they believe. This is what the 12ers, the Iranian regime that took over Iran, that's what they believe.
You remember your dad's prophecy about the enemies of America are living
in America. That's right. And they hate it. They hate America. The goal is their religious goal, which is the conversion of everyone in the whole world to Islam. Anybody who doesn't convert dies.
Well, this is what they do. It's the frog in the pan story.
What's going on with your shirt?
Oh, it's Mona Lisa.
Lou. I only noticed that now.
It's the frog in the pan story. If you put a frog in boiling water, it'll jump
slowly
out. But if you put it in slowly, turn up the heat slowly, and that's what they've been doing over the years and years. Yes. Everything's slow. We give to.
You can't criticize them. It's Islamophobia. Islamophobia. Guess what? I'm not afraid of.
And then
not Islam.
Now
I'm not afraid.
What it's
I'm
done,
aware.
It's got to a point now. It's that if you try and bring up anything, you are Islamophobic. You are racist. You are this, and it's like, no, you've all been brainwashed. Because even CNN, what's her name on CNN, says, I'm for Sharia law, the lesbian lady.
Yes, when they would throw her off of a building or burn her alive.
The minute Sharia law comes in here, you're dead.
You're dead.
And it's not going to come.
They don't believe that, though.
It's not going to come.
But again, in the Quran, it says that Allah is a schemer.
Mm-hmm.
And scheming and lying because the ends justify the means, that makes it okay, and it absolutely does not. And then, of course, you have this craziness going on with the Israel-Gaza situation. I mean, the anti-Semitism. Fourth Reich, Dad prophesied that in also 2010, interestingly enough. Actually, I have it here. But you guys, we've seen this so many times. But he prophesied the Fourth Reich from France and said that Europe would have a short war. So let's listen to what Mike.
This is important to note. Israel, since this war began, has supplied over 94,000 truckloads full of food. It's enough food to feed 2 million people for 2 years, trying to get that into Gaza. But Hamas has stolen the food. A huge amount. In fact, in 2024, the numbers are that Hamas profited over $500 million in stolen food aid that was supposed to go to these poor people who needed it. That's half of their budget. So this is a broken system. The UN needs to work with Israel to make sure that the food is getting to the people that need it most. The IDF, I'm told as recently as this morning, will begin tomorrow in opening new channels of distribution to get it to those people who are desperately in need.
Okay, well, can someone please explain to me then, how is it that Israel, who is at war with them, is required to feed them? What about Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Qatar? All those other countries are there. Why don't they feed them? Why does Israel have to feed them, feed the very people who want them to die, all the Jews? not a drop of Jewish blood left on the earth. That is what the Iranian regime wants. That's what the 12ers believe. The supreme leader is a 12er. That whole eschatology that is the foundation of the Iranian regime that controls Iran now. That's what they believe. And their goal, it's in their constitution that there not be a drop of Jewish blood left on the earth. They fund Hamas. Hamas could never have done October 7th if Iran had not funded them. Same with Hezbollah. Same with the Houthis. All the people causing all the trouble, the terrorism, is being funded by Iran. And where did Iran get their money? Oh, there was a deal, wasn't there? That Trump got rid of, that as soon as Biden came back in, he immediately signed that back in. Although who knows if he actually signed it. I think Otto Penn signed. I don't know if he knows anything that he did. Here's another one. Qataris, Hamas is the roadblock to a ceasefire. Trump, Hamas is the roadblock to a ceasefire. Egyptians, Hamas is the roadblock to a ceasefire. Israelis, we want a ceasefire and the return of our hostages. The media, Israel doesn't seem willing to enter a ceasefire. It's crazy. Anti-Semitism. The Fourth Reich, my dad prophesied November 14th of 2010. We're seeing it. Then you've got the communism problem and socialism, which is how you ended up with the Iranian regime, by the way, because Islamists joined hands with the socialist progressives in Iran, and that's how they took over the country. And that's how they're planning to take over the West. They're doing the same thing. Maduro is not the president of Venezuela, and his regime is not the legitimate government. Maduro is the head of the Cartel de los Soles, a narco-terror organization which has taken possession of a country, and he is under indictment for pushing drugs into the United States. That's from Secretary Marco Rubio. He would know. Cuban descent. Look at Cuba. Oh, this is a good thing that happened. Trump has reached a trade deal with the EU, even though the British was saying Trump is the worst thing to ever happen to the United States of America. And it's like, man, you guys throwing your stones at us. You better have a look at your own country, because you're about to lose any modicum of culture or British anything. It's going to go away. There's going to be no more. It's going to be a memory. And they're going to take over your country the way they did Afghanistan and all the other, what we see as Muslim countries now that used to be Christian countries. Turkey. So, I don't know. Today, it's too hot. It's too hot. Here we go. It's Brennan. I was saying Bannon earlier because I'm thinking of Steve Bannon, but it's Brennan, James Comey, Hillary Clinton. Let's listen to Maria Bartiromo.
So what I think I hear you saying is there is still an opportunity for indictments, potential prosecutions, accountability from those people who may have lied under oath, like John Brennan, James Comey, and perhaps Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's why I've made the referrals that I have. DNI Gabbard has made referrals.
Yeah.
And why we're going to continue to share the intelligence that would support the ability of our Department of Justice to make bring fair and just claims against those who have perpetrated this hoax against the American people and this stain on our country.
Director, one other question on this. Tulsi, as well as President Trump, used the word. So what I think I hear you saying is there is still an opportunity for indictments, potential prosecutions, accountability from those people who may have lied under oath, like John Brennan, James Comey, and perhaps Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's why I've made the referrals that I have. DNI Gabbard has made referrals.
Yeah.
And why we're going to continue to share the intelligence that would support the ability of our Department of Justice to make bring fair and just claims against those who have perpetrated this hoax against the American people and this stain on our country.
Director, one other question on this. Tulsi, as well as President Trump, used the word. So what I think I hear.
Okay. So that's enough of that. Just kind of filling everybody in, if you don't know. They are working on this. I do not know what is actually going to happen out of this. Treason. Eek. I don't know what to expect. I'm just watching this. My dad said the intelligence agencies would be exposed. He warned Obama. He said his legacy would be destroyed if he turned his back on Israel, which he did December 23rd of 2015, 1 month to the day after my dad died. And that was what he warned him. And so we will see. We will see. But we need to pray. Pray for one another too, because it can get very heavy, this. I just want to see if there's not anything else
You know
I
what I
wanted to
just
show you guys.
realized? Is you saying that now when Obama did what he did to Trump was before he handed over the White House to him, was after your dad died.
It was.
It was just after that.
And my dad was warning him.
He was warning him.
Warning,
and he
warning.
turned his back on Israel, and then the Russiagate started
Yes.
in January.
And that was all nonsense. And we were put through years of that. You remember?
So your father saw all that happening.
Trump is a puppet of Putin. Well, I don't know. It doesn't look like it right now.
Exposures.
I mean, Trump's having a hard, and we knew Putin was going to give him a hard time because look how much my dad prophesied about Putin. If you guys haven't seen, I'm probably not going to be able to show it to you. Go to my YouTube. Can you show them my YouTube channel somehow?
Mm-hmm.
We're not actually show them, but give them the. Do we have
Yes.
a lower third? Go to my YouTube channel and look for the Putin prophecies because I put them all together. There's only one missing from there, and it's just audio of him from the garden, and it's missing. So I don't know where it is, but it's in the prophecy database. So if you go to kimclement.com or houseofdestiny.org or on the app, go to the prophecy database and search Putin, and you'll find that I think it was in 2015. He saw Putin. He saw Putin putting a white cloth over his face, and he was very smug underneath, and he was happy about something, and he had somebody murdered or something. And there was a great warning in there, and I would encourage you to just go read that in the prophecy database because I can't find the video of it. And even if I did have the video of it, it's only audio. It's not video of him because he was in his prayer garden and called into the broadcast that day. He also prophesied about the UN in 2005, and he said that the UN is a stench to God's nostrils and that God will abolish it. That's what he saw about the UN. Yeah, there's some bad language in that post. Yeah, Clinton's all over the place, but they just want to talk about Trump. It's the Trump derangement syndrome. It's just really out of hand. It's so annoying. It's so irritating. It's like, can you just use your brain? Please. Just don't let yourself be clouded. You know, we don't have any problem criticizing Trump when he does something wrong. I don't understand why people on the other side, can't just see what's happening. It's like really ridiculous. It's demonic. And we know that it is. It's a very demonic thing that's happened. This made me laugh. Trump with Jerome.
He's got a long way to go. Yes, sir. So,
President, are there things the chairman can say to you today that would make you back off some of the earlier criticism?
well, I'd love him to lower interest rates. But other than that, what can I tell you? Like it's got a long way to go. Yes, sir. So.
President, are there things the chairman can say to you today that would make
That's funny. Okay, and this is the other thing. So, you know, death always happens in threes. And we had Ozzy Osbourne, Theo Huxtable from The Cosby Show, and Hulk Hogan all die this week. And it always happens in threes. I've heard that Ozzy Osbourne actually was a Christian. I didn't know that beforehand, but apparently he was. And Hulk Hogan, I know, got baptized last year and became a Christian. And then he showed up at the RNC convention for Trump after Trump got shot last year. And you remember it was so funny when he came on stage and everything. And so, yeah, hot. I know a lot of people I can see in the comments talking about the heat. It is too hot. I'm not a summer person. I do not like this. I don't like it. But we are running out of time. Before we go, Lou, can you just pull up the Jesus paintings? Connie Francis died as well. Who's that? Who's Connie Francis? Someone's saying Ozzy was not a Christian. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And it's not my place to judge that. I pray that they were. Okay, so for those, I'm seeing the numbers high on how many viewers we have right now. So I want to make sure I share this with you right now. Here are the Jesus paintings that my husband has. He did the Jesus painting. It went viral online, and I have been using this show just to keep you guys updated, just because it's easier for me to just tell everybody at once here. But one thing I do need you to know, if you are interested in getting one of these Jesus paintings, he's working on the lion right now. He's done the whole face. I've been watching him go through the process. It takes a while, but he did the Jesus earlier this year, and many of you have, because he wasn't selling them. He just did a painting for my sister who was moving into her house. He was inspired because the information about the shroud had come out that it was authentically from 2,000 years ago. They were able to date it. And so, and then, on social media, someone created an AI image based on what was on the shroud or what Jesus might have looked like. And my husband was inspired and did his own sketch and then painting. And it was a whole thing that he did. There's a whole process he goes through. He's a really good artist, and he did this Jesus painting, and my daughter held it up in a picture, and he posted it online, and it just went viral. And so ever since then, people wanted prints of it. Now, he wasn't set up to do that because he just did a painting, and people liked it. So he said to everybody, if you want one, just send me however much money you can, because he wanted to make sure everybody could get one too, and it's just been an incredible thing that's happened. So many of you have them. So many of you have been showing us it framed in your homes, the different ways you framed it. It's just been so creative and cool. It's been such a cool experience. And so for anybody who is still interested in maybe you didn't get one, you can get it in black and gray, you can get it in gold. There's my husband's email at the bottom of the screen. You can email him to get one. However, I need you to know something very important. A couple of things. It costs him about $45 per print to have it printed. To whether or not he adds gold, it doesn't make too much of a difference. It does take more time when we add the gold, because we're all helping him do that, adding gold. It's real gold leafing that we glue onto there. And then to ship it and to get the tubes, to ship it, everything. So he figured it out. It costs about $45 a print. But there have been a number of people who have contacted him and said, "Oh, I don't have enough money." And he, of course, sent him one. And then some of you gave way more than $45. It covered the others. So it's been such a beautiful thing. One thing that I do need to say, though, is that this is not a part of the House of Destiny. The House of Destiny, our ministry is a ministry. It's a what's it called? 501c3 nonprofit. Is that what it is? So we have lots and lots of rules that we have to stick by. And so the House of Destiny and our ministry is not selling the paintings. That's not what's happening here. My husband is not employed by the ministry or part of the ministry in that way. He's just married to me, and he's an artist. And so I have used this show to let you know, because it's just easier en masse to let everybody know, aside from using my X account. Just to let everybody know about it. But do not send anything to the House of Destiny for the painting, because he will not get it. And there's no way for us legally to sort of process that at the House of Destiny. So if you want a painting, make sure that you contact my husband and follow his instructions. You cannot give a donation to. Now, a few people have done that, and he did just go ahead and sent them one, of course. But we don't want that to confuse anybody. And also, I don't want to create any issue, because it's not, the ministry is not selling them. My husband is. And so for anybody who wants one, or if you weren't sure about that, you can email him. He will make sure that everything is clear, and he'll show you what to do. And again, it's just been such a cool an awesome experience. I wanted to make sure everybody knew, though, do not donate to the House of Destiny in connection with the painting. You have to go directly to my husband. Please remember that. 'Cause I don't want to cause any problems between the two. And that could not, I'm not personal problems, obviously, but but if you are a nonprofit, and let me tell you, we keep it running like by the book. Everything is like super detailed to follow the rules very carefully. And that's because of under Obama, especially the way he was with the IRS and everything toward nonprofits, especially Christian. My dad, when he was alive, had to deal with a lot of nonsense with that. And so the way they handle everything is super above board, like by the book. Every rule, every single penny is carefully, meticulously detailed and right there for everybody. So, and I heard Phil Collins is in hospice, and that's also very sad. He had a beautiful singing voice. Car decals, Denise Maples. How interesting of you to say that. Suggest to Donna and her husband they should turn the painting into car decals. You know why that's interesting? Because what's his name? Richard Gray. The prophet Richard Gray prophesied over my husband years ago that he saw him doing paintings on cars. So that's so interesting. You totally got my attention there when you said that, Denise. And so, okay, Brandon Biggs. Brandon Biggs has a very strong prophetic gift. Yes, I do believe that. I mean, I've seen him be the reason that I actually ended up contacting him is because something God had showed him lined up really well in connection to the nuclear weapons and a hidden weapon and India and Pakistan that my dad had seen many years before. Brandon knew nothing about it, and God showed him the same kind of thing, but he saw like that, like my dad saw a forest, he saw Poland. So it was really interesting, and it continues to be. The one thing you should know, though, about Brandon is that you'll never hear Brandon say, "Thus says the Lord." He prays, God shows himself, and he shares it. It's different. It's a prophetic gift, but it's different to the way it was with my dad. And so that's very important when you're watching Brandon to understand he is praying, God's showing him things, and he's sharing you everything God's showing. But I've never once heard him say, "Thus says the Lord," da 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 da, like my dad did. And so it's a different function of the prophetic. But yes, he is very accurate, and he's a very humble and good person. You know that he used to be the church janitor for many years until 2020. God told him, I think it was 2020, God told him to start a YouTube channel and to start sharing the things that God was showing him. And so that is how I have come to understand Brandon's gift.
Well, it's very interesting. I've seen it in the comments, but I was thinking about this because when we had him on, he's called the watchman on the wall.
Yes.
I remember your father prophesied. He says, "Where are my watchmen?
Watchmen, what of the night?
What of the night, O watchmen? Where
Yes.
are my watchmen?" It's like your dad was calling out to them. You got to realize the prophetic gift is different. You got
there are different levels to the prophetic.
Yeah.
Brandon is a watchman. Yes.
And
that is exactly right. Thank you for saying
that. And when your
Karen.
dad prophesied about other prophets, but he called out to his watchmen, "Where are you?"
He did. Very good point there,
watchman,
Luke.
To God's
God's watchman, yes. But Dad was prophesying about the prophetic and the way it would begin to manifest in different people in different ways and be unique expressions. So there's a difference between my dad being in this office of a prophet, prophesying, and sort of like, look at Amanda Grace. Her way of doing it is different. She's writing things down all the time, and then she'll read it to you. Or you'll see Robin Bullock is doing similar things to what my dad would do, in that he's worshiping and then God's showing him things and he's saying it. But with Brandon, he's praying in the spirit, and what he's seeing, he's just sharing with you right in the moment. I mean, it's very pure, that. It's very pure. And he's very honest and open about it. And yes, Yeah, he's a prophetic intercessor. Very good, a watchman. And so, the prophetic is very difficult to put in a box and label, because God uses the uniqueness of each individual in the way that the prophetic gift is expressed and the level at which it is at. So you have, within a measure, all of us can prophesy, but that doesn't mean all of us can be like what my dad was. That's like a once in a lifetime thing.
Well, you can also see the
women shouldn't preach into church. That's a difficult one. It's a difficult one for me, because it's like you see me and my mom, and we're running the ministry now, and you see me coming up and speaking to you, and I've preached before, but that wasn't how it started. We had my dad. He built this ministry. He traveled the world, and we helped. We were with him, and we're still kind of like doing that, but he's gone to heaven, but his prophecies are coming to pass now after he's died, which I think adds more authenticity to all of it, because he wasn't alive for a lot of the stuff that we've been through over the last, especially 10 years. He wasn't even here.
Well, the Bible talks about
prophesied at all, and then God took him.
Yeah. The Bible says that the Spirit has fallen upon all flesh, male and female. So to stop a woman from declaring, if God has a word through a woman who's going to be preaching, who are you to stop that?
No, you shouldn't.
But
at the same time, women leaders are actually rare.
Yes. It's a very
like if you have a woman who's actually really the leader and not, because even Paula White didn't start out that way. Paula White started out with her husband, who was the pastor, and whatever happened. His daughter died.
She just started doing her teaching thing on the side, Paula White.
Yes.
And then she would minister, and he would
and
minister.
then he went through a terrible thing.
My grandparents did the same thing.
And
my
he
grand
left.
would minister, and my grandfather would minister.
Yes, but it wasn't Paula's fault. Anything that happened, he had a daughter die in a terrible way, and it really crippled him. And he wasn't able to pastor anymore or maintain his marriage, and he left. And there Paula White sat in that church that they had built all of these years. It was just an incredible church, and they had been working legally to protect Christians, her and her husband. And then when he left, she was sitting there with the church, and so she picked it up and she kept carrying it because there was no one else. Those things happen, so we can't be so black and white with things. I do think, though, ultimately, like if I'm going to a church, I want to see the husband and the wife, because they are going to pastor over other husbands and wives and families, and so you need that to be strong. And then of course sometimes someone dies, like my dad died, but those prophecies had to continue to be carried. And so Mom and I just kept going. Paula White kept going. And so it is difficult sometimes, because I'm not a fan of too many women leaders, but God really is using women in this hour. And I think that that's worthy of note.
Well, the alabaster box with Jesus, women were always involved. Mary, both
Mary Magdalene.
It's the thing you got to understand.
Denise Maples is on it today. Luke 8, verse 1-3. Women minister to Jesus.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yes,
and I didn't read it.
She's on.
Jesus, yeah.
Yes, Pastor Greg and Sister Ty do that beautiful. That's my church, Global Vision.
It was Mary that
Greg
saw
Locke
Jesus when he rose
and his
from the
wife.
dead in the
they
garden.
do it beautifully.
She thought that he was the gardener. It's all.
Delora O'Brien was on His Glory showing Kim Clements prophecies. Delora.
Okay, we got to go.
Robin and Robin Bullock. Yes, Robin and Robin Bullock. I love them. They're good people. Yeah, Paula White, she can help Joni Lamb if she wants to. That's one of those situations where, it was like day star of our lives every day. I don't know any of them. I know Paula only through my dad. I've never met Joni Lamb, and I don't know any of them. Dad wasn't really on Daystar, but when I watched watched the way that Christians handled that. Like, Joni Lamb, her husband died. He'd had an affair. It was a difficult situation, that. And there was not much compassion from people over that. And I just, we don't know the hearts of these people. And there's a bunch of slander, and a bunch of Christians, supposed Christians, made a lot of money off of Daystar in the headline of their YouTube videos. And every day, there's another Daystar. And it was like, you're criticizing. Okay, first of all, it's a network. It's not just a church. And so you have a network, and you're mad because it's worth $1 billion. You know how much, like, ABC, NBC, CBS, Disney, these companies are worth? And that's actually not that much money. And they
not for the running costs.
And also, if you're looking at at a network, anybody on the network, like Lance Wallnau was on the network, but he didn't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, who are the kids? What are their names? And everyone's like, Lance must speak up, but Lance didn't even know them, because you actually pay for airtime like you would on a network, but with the Christian one, that the way that it was, you paid for airtime. And so just because someone paid for airtime on Daystar doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they know anything about the Lambs. And so I watched that whole thing go out, and I just, whatever. There were a lot of accusations. The accusations against Pete. And I kept thinking, but if there's not, what if it's not true? Because once I listened to the whole thing, I was like, man, this is terrible. And then I listened to the whole thing. I'm like, man, that's like, I don't know. Like, what if Pete was innocent? You've ruined this guy's life. And then it's like, well, the daughter says, I'm not going to go into the whole thing. I don't know any of these people. And here I am gossiping myself, aren't I? But the reason I was saying that is because what I didn't like was the hypocrisy that I saw in Christians, because they were attacking them, and it's like, you don't even know anything that's going on, and the amount of slander and stones thrown, and then you're mad about the money they're making while you make money slandering them. You're not actually, at least they're spreading the gospel.
Yeah.
And maybe that some people says it's false, and at least they're spreading the gospel with their network. You are on a YouTube channel making videos, making money, hundreds of thousands of dollars every day by using the gossip.
Mm-hmm.
That's not right to me. And that's what, as far as whatever Joni and her family did or didn't do, I don't know enough. And I trust God that he'll deal with it. But what I saw come out of Christians is what bothered me.
Well, here's the thing. You look at the woman at the well. And,
yes.
And when Jesus spoke to her and said, you'll have living water, you'll never go thirsty, she was the first person in that area to go minister to the town. Yeah. And telling everybody what had happened, what Jesus. Then the men came and other people came to stone her, and Jesus wrote something in the sand. And he said, he without sin cast the first stone.
I think he was writing their sins in the sand.
Well, the thing is, here's the thing. Whether you saved or not saved, we've been forgiven of our sins, but you still have sinned because we are flesh. That's why the Bible tells us we need to go before the Lord every day and confess and talk to him and love him, because we live in a sinful world. Yeah. So the thing is, we must stop casting stones at people when you don't know the full story. You're only hearing a bit of the story of a hearsay. You don't know the truth. And so that's the end of the story. So instead of throwing stones, get on your knees and pray for these people. Pray for them individually. Say, God,
especially if they're Christian leaders, you need that. We need that to be in line, in order.
It doesn't matter what level they are in, whether they high level prophets, high level preachers, high level. Get on your knees and say, God, help them, God, and pray for them, not against them.
Yeah.
That's my little 2 cents.
There were things, I also didn't like when I saw it. No, obviously, I'm not defending it. I don't know them, and I don't know enough. But I did want to say though that you please don't. Like Lance Wallnau is a good example. He had nothing to do with, and he didn't even know what the names of their kids were.
Yeah, he
was completely oblivious. And then you've got other people who are making a bunch of money off of slandering them, and that's what I didn't like. Mm-hmm. You're mad at the Lambs because they made money, and they have a television network. They didn't just have a church. It's not like they were just a church that made $1 billion. They're a television network. Oh, I don't know. I didn't like, again, the details of that. I can't. And Lance also, he bought airtime on Daystar because it was a Christian network, and he was just getting, a lot of people do that. That doesn't mean they have anything to do with the family, and nobody understood that. Everybody was treating it like it's a church, and it's not. It's a network. And I mean, most of the time they don't even see each other. They have studio time, or they send in videos, and nobody's even. Maybe that needs to be fixed. I don't know, but I do say I don't like the hypocrisy that I saw come out of Christians who just relished in the downfall. And you shouldn't be doing that. I mean, we don't have many networks, although that's all changing. And that my dad prophesied. It's all changing.
Yeah, they're all going online.
Everybody's online now.
Little
Well, that was
churches.
the thing I was
Little
going to
churches.
share, but I'll share it later because we're way over
We're way
time
over
now.
time.
Okay, so anybody watching right now, if you are giving a donation to the House of Destiny Network, we want to give back to you, but the only way that you can do this is if you do it through the website. So if you're doing it through social media, like if you're doing it on YouTube, we can't get this to you. So if you want this, it's called The Daily Light. It's a 31-day devotional for any amount. You donate any amount, we're going to send you one of these. But the only way we can do it is if you do it through the website and click the banner. The other one that we have is called Prophetic Revelations, a collection of letters from the pen of Kim Clement. It's this one. And there's the QR code. If you don't like QR codes, I understand completely. Just go to the website, kimclement.com, houseofdestiny.org. Those are going to take you to the same place. And click the banner, and you can give an offering that way. And also, we have the Prophecy Vault, which is our partner program. And I'm the one who came up with this because I needed help funding the digitization of my dad, a footage of my dad that we have in all different formats. And so, it's easy to do like a VHS or something if you have a machine, which I was doing myself. But when you get to some of these formats like DAT tapes and big camera tapes, I didn't even know what to call them. We really needed a way to fund getting them digitized because it was quite expensive, and we've got so many. We've got 40 years of stuff. We've even got cassette tapes from back in the day and DVDs and things like that. And so that's why I started this, because we had our partner programs and those were outdated, and I just went to God and I asked him what to do, and this is what he showed me. Well, where do you have a need? This is where I have the need. And so we started the Prophecy Vault, and that's our partner program. And for $7 or more a month, you get access to a special area of the website, which is the vault, the Prophecy Vault. And in there, we have updated the prophecy database. So you can still do the keyword search like you do on the website. That's always going to be there. But we have an upgraded version in the vault for those who have partnered with us, as well as things like the School of the Prophet, teachings on the soul, extra content of me and Christy analyzing prophecies in more depth, all kinds of things. And so it's just a beautiful place that we created on the website for our partners. And so I just want to thank all of you who have partnered with us. It has helped. That's why you see tomorrow when you watch Prophetic Rewind, which is every Monday, that's up. Wherever you're watching right now, you can come back here tomorrow and watch Prophetic Rewind. And that is old footage of my dad, which we have now, beginning this year, because of the Prophecy Vault, we have started to just go in date order. And so we went from the oldest one we had at the time, at the beginning of the year, and we've just started. And we're in 1997 now. Are we still in 97, Lou? Yes, we're still in 1997. And they have just been such a blessing, just seeing my dad preaching. And that's the way I grew up. And that's how I remember him the most, is those years. And I traveled with him. Sometimes I had to go to school, but I traveled with him a lot. I was at the Gathering of the Dangerous in Dearborn, Michigan, when he prophesied 9/11 in 1996. Those experiences were completely unique and really formed who I am as a person, giving me the perspective I have, which is why a lot of you come and listen to me, because I do have a unique upbringing and experience, but I do understand the prophetic very well. And so I can share with you And sometimes I'm wrong about things, and I'm okay with that. But I am doing my very best, and I appreciate all of you so very much for coming here every week and watching with me. And so we're going to have our prayer meeting on Tuesday night again, and I'm loving the prayer meetings. This past Tuesday, we couldn't get here into the studio because they thought there was a fire. Luckily, there wasn't. But the ambulances and the fire department and the police and everyone were here. Everybody had to be evacuated. So I could not be here for the prayer meeting and had to do it from home. But it was still just lovely. It was just so good. And so really, I don't want to even call that a show. We just gather together, and we're using this technology to gather together and pray for one another, for our nation, for whatever is on everybody's hearts. So do join us for the Gathering of the Dangerous prayer meeting this Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central, which is 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern. And then if you're somewhere else in the world, you're going to have to do the math yourself, because I barely made it through that. But I do love all of you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I don't think I've forgotten anything. And yeah, that's it. I am finished for the day. Can you believe it? But I've enjoyed my time with you. I was feeling too hot and tired and grumpy, and I feel so much better now. And that's because I got to come and hang out with you guys again. So I love you all, and I will see you here next week.
What's new at the House of Destiny Network?
The boat is smelly, Lord. I've just gone fishing. In fact, Lord, I caught nothing all night long. But you can have the boat if you don't mind putting up with the smell, if you don't mind putting up with the filth, if you don't mind putting up with the bait. Jesus said, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. I don't mind as long as the people can hear me. Jesus stood on the boat and he began to preach, and that boat became a pulpit. Listen to me. Your boat can become a pulpit. Everything that you got can become a pulpit. Come on, listen, let's make some pulpits with what we've got in our hand. Let's do something with our lives. Let's do something with our vocation in life and say, listen, Lord, take my life and make it a pulpit. Speak from my life. Come on.
We are the warriors of the new millennium, and we are dangerous. And that's why the devil tried to stop us from having this prayer tonight by electrical fire issues and us not being able to. Let me tell you how many times I saw that happen with my father. And so right now, in the name of Jesus, I bind that demonic force that would come against the minds of the Christians. You have no place here. You have no power here.
And when we did end up interviewing Eric Trump, while we were interviewing, my mother and I, right in the studio, we were interviewing Eric Trump, they were raiding Mar-a-Lago. And so there's something very interesting about that connection.
Oh, it's very interesting, man. I mean, it's so connected.
Because the document that they were looking for is the document that Tulsi Gabbard has released today.
There's this strange balance and delicate line that we have to walk, where we have to obey God despite what we feel. And that can be difficult just in general. And we also have to find a way to dig deeper than our current emotional state.
We're facing a huge breach of trust, a huge challenge between different parties within Israel that are not letting us win the war against our enemies. The enemies are watching the same issues that we faced before the October 7th attack, the same dispute, the same lack of unity is encouraging the enemies of Israel now not to compromise, to watch what's happening within Israel and to say to themselves, let us hold back a little bit. Let us disagree with what they offer us, and the government and the people of Israel will fall into their own holes because of their disaccord.
Thoughts influence emotion, and emotion drives our actions. So we get a thought, it strikes our emotions, and then our emotions create actions. So how important is that thought in the first place? Well, if it's a godly thought, we have a godly action. But if it's a carnal thought, we don't want to end up, or a fearful thought, we don't want to have a fearful response, because faith is what pleases God, and fear captivates us.
we here at the House of Destiny are partnering with you to let our viewers, of course, know about your company. It's Beverly Hills Precious Metal.
Andrew, explain how that works.
So I'll walk you through it right now. So if you go to bh-pm.com, right there on the homepage, you'll see a form that you could fill out. And that form is very important in letting us know how we can help you. So you just put in your first name, last name, email address, phone number. There's a section that says, how did you hear about us? And in there, put Kim Clement. And then there's a portion where you could write a couple of notes down on the bottom. Usually within about 24 to 48 hours, we'll contact you. And then by phone call, and then we'll go over everything with you. This isn't a high pressure deal. We always recommend that if you feel uncomfortable, take a step back, pray about it. You will gain the answers that you need by doing that and come back to